Hello, I am Alicia Clark Tepper, and I am an astrologer here to talk to you about the month of October. Welcome. I've just decided that it is the time where we all need to know a little bit more. So, Come Grow With Me is something new that I am debuting. So, welcome. And my first month here in October 2023, talking about the astrology and how things are going to begin to gradually change for us as an individual and as a collective. We're walking into the eclipse season here in October. And what do I mean by eclipse season? So every year we have eclipses. They happen twice a year, and they happen two eclipses, 2 weeks apart, twice a year. How do we receive an eclipse? An eclipse is based upon where the sun's axis and the moon's axis or ellipticals meet, and it's a point in the sky. So it is not a planet or an asteroid, it's actually just a crossing of the two lines in the sky. And where that crosses in that zodiacal sign, one of those 12 that we know as our horoscope, that is the axis that has the two signs relationships for the time of the eclipse axis. So right now, here in October 2023, we just had the full moon in Aries on the 29th of September. And that was the kickoff into the energy of the eclipse, but it was not numerically an eclipse. So the energies are percolating, but they have not quite been released. And it's that molecular chemistry that's happening in the jar before we can mix it all up and have the finished product. It's that beginning of the alchemical process. And so where we were at for the last 2 years is we had an eclipse in the Scorpio and Taurus. So we were doing a deep dive into our inner psyche in relation to our values and our self-worth and our possessions and how we source our resources and doing that internal dive. And we are in this month of October, breaking free from that Scorpio Taurus eclipse and moving into, I should say Taurus Scorpio eclipse, because Taurus is where it's the part that's the one that was leading. And then we're moving into the Aries Libra eclipse axis. So our first eclipse in October is October 14th, and that is a Libra eclipse. This is going to be somewhere around the 20th degree of Libra. So anybody who is a later, mid to later sign Libra is going to feel the impact of this eclipse more. And then depending on where it is in your chart, depends on how it's going to play out in your life. But where we're moving from that axis of deep depth, inner dive to the psyche, and measuring that against how our self-worth, our values, our resources, and our possessions are in our life. And we're now shifting into the access of, now that I've done the inner dive and I've reconciled my values and my self-worth, now I need to step forward in my authenticity and begin to wear that and embody that energy. And so as we are moving into this next month and these eclipses, it is going to be an impactful time. Eclipses are the pin dot, and then we spread out from there and do all of the investigative research from that point. And so it is the awakening or the awareness point, and then how things unfold from that. And it's usually a 6-month period, and as that 6-month period comes around, we come back around to the next eclipses. And so these eclipses will light up and offer, and I say these because we also have an eclipse on October 28th, which is the closing eclipse of the Taurus Scorpio axis. And so that is going to release that volume for all of you Scorpios and Tauruses who have just been going through an utter super deep dive into your life and everything that makes you up over the last 2 years. And so as we make this move into the Libra and Aries axis, or the Aries Libra axis, the Aries is that authenticness. That Aries is the I am, the embodiment, the okay, I'm here and I'm showing up and I've got this idea and let's move forward with it. But I might not have thought about all of the things that need to happen in order to sustain whatever it is we're out there trying. So proceed with caution, try new things, but know that there will become a point in time where there needs to be some revision and some allocation of resources towards how to sustain what it is that you're working on and getting started. Tying this back to the last new moon, which was in Virgo, we planted seeds for a 2.5-year cycle to start to unfold something brand new for ourselves, which will totally become visible and percolate by September-ish of 2026. So allow that to also be embodied during this time when these eclipses come in. And then the Libra axis, and what we're releasing in this is our codependency, or the way that we show up in relationships that is not serving us. So codependency often has a negative connotation, but in any relationship there is a codependency, because you have to rely on the other for some sort of something to continue that relationship. And so the ways that we show up are being released. Anything that is not serving us from the past, any way that we want to allow ourselves to progress forward in how we show up in every facet of our relationships. This is our significant other relationships. This is our business partnerships. This is our friendships. This is our situationships. This is our community aspects of, like, how do I, in response to others, show up? And then allowing yourself to embody that new sense of authenticity that you've been cultivating over the last couple years, and encouraging yourself to have that new you shine through. And so as we unfold the month of November, or October into November, we have that eclipse at the very end, that 28th eclipse, that last chapter of Taurus, and it's going to really, I say, shut the volume. So it's not just a chapter in our lives, it's a whole volume. It's a closing of that time, that essence, that cycle, and moving on to the next. So as we are doing that, we're solidifying these values. We're solidifying what our new stance is in solution to our dilemma on resources. And I truly believe that we're going to begin to embody more of how much Mother Earth means to us here in these next couple years as well, because she is not going to let us forget how she also has a say in our lives, and we need to embrace that before it becomes too much for us to take on as a responsibility. So another one of those things that's coming into this axis. This month also, I just want to mention that last month we had no planets changing signs, with the exception of the sun and the moon. And so the two that always change signs, no matter what. All of the other planets stayed in their same zodiacal sign. And so that allowed us to solidify again our feelings and where we were at with certain issues and certain things on a personal level, on a generational level, on a community level. And now that we're moving into October, Mercury, our fastest moving planet, actually now this month moves 3 signs. So it goes from moving no signs to moving 3 signs. So we're going to have some big changes that are happening in our mental state. It finally releases its shadow period, which is the time that it went through the degrees before it went to retrograde. And now it's moving on to fresh new turf in our mental capacity. And so we are picking up the speed in the Virgo. And so solidifying those last pieces of the plan, putting together those last few items before our mind now takes into the Libra stance, which it happens on October 4th. Mercury goes into Libra, and then it's only in Libra until the 22nd of October, and then it moves into Scorpio. So 2 weeks, it's flying through Libra, and so it's balancing things. Okay, so I got all this new information. How do I bring the ledger? How do I make the fulcrum point allow a balancing state in my life? And so then once it moves on into Scorpio, it then takes on a very different tone and has an intense focus about itself. And it's going to then move through that and then make its change in December, then into Sagittarius. I meant in November. So this month we have planets all making changes, our internal planets. Mars moves into Scorpio on the 12th of October, and that's its home sign. And so it's been in a sign, Libra, where it doesn't really enjoy itself, and it has to have more diplomacy than what it usually has, and the balancing of other people's opinions. And now Scorpio on the 12th of October is going to move in, or Mars is going to move into Scorpio, and now that planet, that energy within our lives, is in its dominating house, in its home, ready to take charge, have that intense focus. And then Mercury comes in at the end of the month, lights it up, brings in that mental aspect to it. And also then at the beginning of November, Venus is going to go in there. So we're going to have Venus, Mars, Mercury, and the Sun all in Scorpio. So coming together with our plan and bringing and uniting all of our personal self, our mind, our heart, and our forward momentum with the outward energy that we sustain and gets us up in the morning. So all of that comes together with the plan in November. So know that we're shedding things in October. We're being realized and opening to new ideas. We're shifting perspectives. We're allowing in energies to bring ourselves from what was not serving us in our own self and in the way that we show up in relationships, and how we can elevate that throughout this month of October. And as all of this energy unfolds, I will periodically be bringing you energy updates. And I actually am headed down to experience the eclipse on the 14th of October, going directly overhead in Texas. And so when I return, I will also give an update to how amazing that was, and talk a little bit more about how the eclipse unfolds and how the next eclipse will play out a little bit more. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.